Okay, before we can get the meeting started, we need to approve last year's minutes. Motion to approve last year's minutes. No, I need a motion to approve last year's minutes from LaSalle. Second? Second from Colby Sawyer. Discussion. Does anyone have anything to say about last year's minutes? I know you all read them. Seeing no discussion, I move to vote. All in favor of approving last year's minutes, say aye. Aye. Any disapproves? That would be no. Motion carries. Minutes are passed. Guys, could I have someone shut that door, actually, please? Just so when the next person walks in, they have to make a really loud noise and we can all stare at them. Okay, thanks, guys. My name again is Neil Foley. I am the president of your union. Thank you all for coming. As has been my tradition, I like to start this by asking who drove more than 2 hours to be here? If you could stand up. And those bastards from Framingham couldn't drive 40 minutes. Who drove more than 3 hours to be here today? Did anyone drive more than 4 hours to be here today? Holy crap, let's give it up. Yes. Thank you. If Framingham does show up, they're going to have problems. And thankfully, they got to go through Burlington to get in, so I'd give them shit. Guys, welcome to the board. We have a couple of new members on the board I'd really like to introduce and have you actually show some appreciation because these people stepped up at key times for us. One is Jeff Sperling, our new secretary. Jeff, you guys may know. Longtime Providence player, coach, and really stepped up for us this year when Carl resigned, and we wouldn't be here without him today. And then Matt Carmody. Matt Carmody's the new men's college director. Also stepped up and got us through a really pickly time. And then John Kokenauer, our new men's D4 director, is also on. So thank you. And thank you for being here. It has been my custom. You guys are the reason why we're up here, and your teams don't exist. This Nerfu union doesn't exist. Rugby in New England doesn't exist without you guys actually doing the jobs you're doing. So thank you all for being presidents, club administrators, treasurers, pains in the ass, all that good stuff. Thank you very, very much for being here. Appreciate it. That's for me. We have a couple of major things we want to discuss today. On the college side, we have some challenges from NESCRO that we really need to address and get through. So that's going to be our main session there for the breakout session there is to discuss the NESCRO stuff. On the senior side, it is my firm intent, belief, desire, hey, Boston Arts Wolfhounds, thanks for coming, to settle this B-side question once and for all on the senior club side. So these are things we want to discuss in our breakout sessions. We're not going to be discussing them on a general meeting, but once we get out of there, I'm going to do my very best to get in between both meetings to, offer my thoughts, guidance, opinions, hear myself talk. But ultimately, I really would want the individual clubs, the people you represent, to be the driving force of this conversation, not us. On another note, it is my delight to tell you that this will be my last year as your president. I will not be running again next year. There are general elections next year for this union. It is not my intent to run again. I believe that there are other members of this board who will be stepping down as well. With that, I have issued a challenge to you all. I know you all do your work for your clubs and you all do a lot. New people need to come into this union and start leading it. I've been on this board now 11 years. It'll be 12 years next year. And I got to find something else to do with my time. So I wanted to say that to everybody so you know. And now for the next year, people can just start thinking about whether or not they want to step up and be on this board. If you have questions about what it takes to be on this board, ask us. I'm happy to talk. If you are thinking about it, or if you know somebody that might be interested, or you think it's a good fit, tell me, and I'll go after them myself. But this is going to be the last time I do this. So thank you all very much. With that, I'd like to welcome Shannon Wallace. Hi, I'm Shannon Wallace. Shannon is our treasurer. Shannon is days away from giving birth to her first child. She thought that a 3.5, 4 hour drive from upstate New York to be here today was not in the cards. I completely understand. So with that being said, I'm going to fill in for Shannon today, okay, everybody? If you want, I can pretend that I'm smaller and swear a lot more. We handed these out. They're on all the tables. If you want a copy, you can come up and ask me for one. I think I have some extras up here. Oh, there's some extras on that card over there, if you need them. This is our budget and our actual expenditures to date. As you can see, we opened the year with $104,000 in the bank. We currently have $143,000 in the bank. We collected nearly $75,000 in dues through the CIPP program and the registration. And we have spent a total of $35,000 thus far this year. That's only since September. We have major expenses that happen in the spring and in the summer, most notably the Nerfu Cup tournament down in Newport. And then our biggest summer expenditure has been the ODA. For those of you unfamiliar, the ODA is the Olympic Development Academy, which we started in partnership with our friends in Empire Rugby Union. It is the Sevens program where we've had great success, and John McGecky, our Sevens director, will hopefully be talking about that a little bit later. But we've seen some great success from that program, and some people getting looks at for national side programs, things like that. On that topic, we do not yet have a women's ODA, which is very disappointing, and we very much want to get that started. In our budget, we have been sure to allocate the same amount of money for a women's ODA that we have for men. We just need the staff, we just need coaches to step up and do it. It is a major commitment, but with that being said, Nerfu has made a major financial commitment to assist these people as much as possible. We have decided as a board that the ODA is a good expenditure for us, not only for the exposure, but to get our players national level exposure and to support the growth of rugby, and hopefully, after the Sevens down in Rio, it takes off. Other expenditures we're really looking to beef up has been coaching clinics. I think we've done a good job of getting more coaching clinics out there this year. Hopefully, you guys have been okay with the amount of programs we've had. We are continuing to try to, increase the money we spend on that and to get more programs out there. There's a fine line now between the amount of people that USA Rugby has certified to do these clinics and the amount of time that they have and spaces they can go. So we are working hard to get more of them going. On your table, you'll see one that's coming up soon from Bulldog Rugby down in Connecticut. Again, if you are a Nerfu coach or player and you participate in that, Nerfu will reimburse you the expense of that, not the total cost of it, but up to a certain amount for attending these programs. So we're doing everything we can there to do that. We ask you to continue to send us in your reimbursement forms, continue to try to find coaching clinics, continue on your own to do things, and if you think Nerfu should be supporting you on it, just call us. We are more than happy to spend the money on all of this development. One of the problems we've had in the last year has just been a lack. I'll be honest with you, I get a call a week from somebody who's trying to make money, trying to make a living off of rugby, and usually they're just the worst ideas. The guy that called me yesterday was asking about, he wants to do a Facebook-centered thing on just rugby, and he's like, we'll take the Facebook off your hands. And it's not really a big deal to me. So if someone comes to me and says, listen, I want to host a coaching clinic and I need money to rent out a facility, we'll support you on that. We will do that. If it's we want to do a players clinic and we want to bring in someone from overseas and we need help with expenses or hotel rooms or flights, we'll do that. We'll do that. We just need you to come to us. We can't come up with all the programs on our own. If you have ideas, thoughts that you want to talk about, again, just come up and talk to me afterwards, or talk to anyone here on the board. Be happy to go with you. That being said, that is the budget discussion. Does anyone have any questions on any of the budget items that you see in front of you? Hearing none, I will move on from the budget. Again, if you want to discuss this with me, I'm happy to have the conversation, and we will be voting on due structure in this summer, as is required by USA Rugby. If you have thoughts on the due structure and how it's currently being handled and managed, please, share your thoughts with us prior to our July board meeting when we have to vote on this and get our new due structure into USA Rugby. Okay, with that being said, I would now like to introduce Mike Martin, the Executive Director of Clubs.
Thank you, Mr. President and Substitute Treasurer. You've done a good job, and I think everybody should round of applause for Neil. Next year, I'm sure he won't even show up. Mike Martin, Executive Director of Senior Club Rugby. Basically, the directors fall underneath me. I'm not a micromanager, I'm a macro manager. They do their own jobs. I try not to get involved between the teams and them unless I have to. Chairman of the disciplinary committee. That's a lot of fun, really. And run the Nerfu tournament. This year's Nerfu tournament is May 2nd and 3rd. I know there's a lot of questions. The schedule will come out a week before this year. Hopefully that's better than the past. I need a whole week leading up to that to get all the teams secured in their spots. Hi, Brett. There's going to be some D1 absences, some teams going to playoffs won't be there as well, so it's going to take to get that 2 weeks out, to get the schedule rolling, to get turned over to you. You will need to pay and register before the schedule goes out. That's how I know you're coming. Cool. Questions? Cool. That's all I got.
Did anyone win anything this year, Mike? Nationally? No? No? Okay. Brian Early, Executive Director of College. Brian.
Good morning. My name is Brian Early. I'm the Executive Director of Colleges. This year, I have, gosh, it just slipped my mind, so I'll go with Matt Carmody first. And I just want to say something about the developmental issues in collegiate rugby. Collegiate rugby is exploding, and we need to support that growth. How we support that growth is by approaching your collegiate administrators, saying, first, it's going to be an Olympic sport. We also want to bring the Olympics to Boston, and we need three things to happen in order to support the sport of rugby at the collegiate level. We need decent playing surfaces. We need access to good trainers. That means the same trainers as, say, the collegiate football teams or the volleyball teams or the swimming teams. But because it's a club sport, it's not always recognized as such. But we need to accelerate, given the great growth in rugby at the collegiate level, to have a decent field and to have decent medical facilities and to circulate that rugby is an Olympic sport and it's played by more people worldwide than, say, American football. I'd like to introduce Matt Carmody first, and he's going to illustrate on the men's college level.
Hey guys, good morning. From the men's college level, so I'm your director, I'm your name and face. I just started with this about 7 months ago. So some of you I've emailed with, some of you I've not. But if you don't leave today, please, without my contact information or your contact information given to me, if you don't have it already. Well, I'll save a lot of what I have for the breakout session. We got some things we want to talk about, mostly with Nescro, as Neil alluded to, and I'm going to bring up something there, talk to you guys about the schedule coming up, and then hear kind of what you guys want to see this coming year to kind of go with what Brian was saying as far as promoting the growth that we're experiencing and make sure that we're organized and well done. I would say my first observations in this role, looking out at the field, is that there's a lot of non-committal teams, and that hurts all of us. So, you know, what I would like to see is that if you are going to field the team to the best of your ability, and you know, communicate with us, you know, if things aren't going to work, because otherwise these other teams are expecting, you know, a good match, and then it doesn't happen. So I think sorting through a little bit of that will be helpful as we move forward. And I'm an open book. I'm fresh eyes on this, and so I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys today.
Okay, Matt Carmody, I want to apologize. I don't know, I blanked out Patty Williams' name. She's done a great job for University of New England in Biddeford, Maine. And without further much ado, here she is, Patty Williams.
Brian. Patty Williams, like Brian said, UNE in Maine, and I'm an advisor for the men's team there and the women's team and coaching the women's team. First year in the position as the women's college director. Had a great fall season, had some struggles with some teams. We're going to talk about it more in the breakout. 9 teams are confirmed to return for 2015. Should be a really competitive group. And I want to just thank and recognize the UNE women for hosting the Nerfu playoffs last fall and the Keene State women for hosting the NSCRO playoffs last fall. It was a lot of work for both those schools. They did a great job hosting, put on great tournaments for all the teams that were there. And also recognize Franklin Pierce when we do the trophies, but Franklin Pierce is our runner-up and UNE is our champion from the fall. So we got some strong teams coming back, and we'll talk about it more in the breakout. So thank you.
So I guess that completes the collegiate rugby presentation. I also want to let you know that there are a plethora, which means there are a multitude of opportunities to get involved both at the referee level, at the administrator level, at the coaching level, and at the playing level. Rugby is a self-generating sport, and it just keeps on rolling. So we want to catch these players younger, and so, for instance, I've started coaching at the under 10 and under 19 divisions in order to develop. I didn't start playing till I was 23. That sets us back a little bit versus nations, Ireland, New Zealand, where they pick up a ball at age 8 and they know how to pass it and they know how to do things with it. So I encourage you to all get involved as early as possible with the rugby. And that completes the collegiate presentation. Thank you.
I just want to make one thing clear. This union has not in any way endorsed the Boston Olympic bid at all. I do not want Brian's comments to be misconstrued. I don't want that thing anywhere near this side of the world. Next up is John McGecky, our Sevens director, and John's going to talk about all the success we had last year. Thanks, John.
First off, everybody see me okay? I'm not as tall as my counterparts. Funny. All right, just I'm going to talk to you three topics, hopefully quick. I just want to talk about last season, want to talk about this upcoming season, and as Neil alluded to, I want to talk to you about the Northeast Academy. And full disclosure, obviously I'm the director of Sevens for Nerfu, but I'm also the director and head coach of the the Boston Academy, and I'll explain the difference. So last season, with regards to Sevens and the championship, it was primarily dominated on the men's front, and I'll talk to the women's front in a little bit about next season. So we introduced the Nerfu Championship 7 Series. We had several teams participate. We had 5 tournaments that stepped up to be a host of that. And as a result, each tournament awarded points. And at the end of the series, we awarded a winner. And the winner was Middlesex, or maybe formerly known as Middlesex, because they're now Mystic, right? And South Coast was the runner-up. We intend to do the same thing for this upcoming season. On the other front, we had for the NRU, so that's where both Empire and New England compete, and we had Boston represented and a team called New England Prime, which was a combination of both college and club rugby in the New England area. Unfortunately, neither of those teams made it to nationals. It was 2 Empire teams, which is a little disappointing, but had I think that some of the teams got their acts together early on, we would have gone through to nationals and represented New England in nationals. So my cry to you is to try and build those teams and prepare for this next season. So next season, the tournament application, for those that don't know, is due. If you're planning on hosting a sevens tournament through the summer, please have your application in by the end of February. If there's a problem with that, you can email me, and we'll start to look at the schedule. The whole point of that is it's not a first come, first served. Okay, I don't want to disappoint, but I want to be full disclosure. I do want to try and uphold dates that people have traditionally used in the past. I think it worked last year. We didn't really have that many conflicts, and where we did, we were able to sit down and kind of talk through it. So if you're going to come forward with a date, I appreciate if you could please come forward with multiple dates. If I do see a conflict, I'll get everybody on the phone, everybody being the sort of the tournaments impacted, and we'll talk it through. I recognize there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. You work with your towns, you secure the money, that sort of thing. So just kind of be patient with me if you could. Also look to do the Nerfu Championship Series. So it was a start last year. Was it a resounding success? If you're Middlesex, yes. If you're some of the other teams, maybe not. I don't think it was as highly competitive as what I would like it to be. Again, sevens is the upcoming sport, right? It's the one that's going to take us to the Olympics if the U.S. qualify. But it is the sort of the growing sport, right? So we would like to get more people involved in New England. There's a lot of talent in New England, and I would like to see that distributed amongst the teams instead of just, focused on one or two teams. So I encourage you to please try and create a sevens program, participate in this Nerfu Championship, and really have a go. At the end of the day, it's a bit of fun, but there's also some bragging rights. There's a trophy to be won, some medals, maybe even some cash if the board throws it in. Women's competition. So this past year was a little tough. Sevens especially, there really wasn't much. I'm kind of at a place where I'd like to be able to grow. So we talked about trying to, create something at the ODA level. I'll talk to that in a minute, but I'd really like to see more competition, especially in the sevens front for the women. So I can see a couple of women's teams out here. I plead with you, please organize some sevens structure. I'm always here to talk. I actually would like more insight into the women's game and the sevens game especially to understand what teams are out there and what we can do. So there was a nationals for the women's clubs last year. The tournament was held out in Saratoga. Unfortunately, I think one team showed, if any, from New England. It was primarily dominated by Empire. The Empire teams went off to nationals and actually competed very well. So I don't know if that tells me there's a drain of talent that's leaving New England. If there is, I'd like to be able to bring it back, and I'd like to see more women's teams step up and host that sevens competition. I'll get off my soapbox, apologies. Okay, the Academy. How many of you are familiar with the Northeast Academy, formerly known as the ODA? Just put your show of hands. Okay, so it's not widely known. So it was called an ODA. What that was a directive that came from the former U.S. head coach, Alex Magleby. The goal was to create academies that would serve as feeder systems up to the U.S. national team. Okay, so there was essentially a gap that was being realized that when players were stepping up from their playing club here locally, going up and stepping into playing in the international level, there was really a massive jump, right? As you can well imagine, as we just talked about, players picking up a ball at 5 years old versus 22 years old. So the goal for the academy was essentially to allow the ability to create something that you could then source talent into from the local area, develop those players and prepare them for that international caliber. So you're going to have like-for-like elite athletes training beside one another on a frequent basis. It wasn't going to be some paid select side that would get together once a year and go off to a tournament, win the tournament, and then disappear. It was all about sort of developing that elite level athlete. It is supposed to be for men and women. We've got the men's up and running, and like Neil said, we'd like to get the women's up and running, okay? In terms of participation, so the Northeast Academy, it is the only funded academy by the union. What does that mean? There are other academies. There's Tiger, you may have heard of. You've heard of probably Serevi, and there's another one called Life, as in Life University, the chiropractic school. Those are all self-funded. The Northeast Academy is funded by you guys. Okay, so as you heard, a good amount of the money that comes from this GU goes to fund those athletes, to give them the opportunity to go to these tournaments, to play against the other academies, and then to try and get a look at with the U.S. coaching staff. The U.S. coaching staff is in direct communication with us. We meet with them once a week. We go through players, we evaluate, we try and understand what they're looking for, and so forth. In terms of the competitions that we've been to, domestically, there was Vegas, and we're actually getting ready to go again next week, Houston, Glendale, and New York. Internationally, Ireland, England, and Trinidad and Tobago. The Ireland and England tours, in full disclosure, were not funded by the union. That was actually something that was funded by, I want to say, the Premiership Rugby over in England. We had good success. We got invited. They wanted a representation from the U.S. teams. 2 teams went out there, a New York-based team, which is really us. It was under the name of New York City Sevens, and a San Francisco team. And our particular team finished 5th in that tournament. Now, to give you the type of caliber of players that we played against. So in Limerick this past year, okay, we lost in the plate final to Moscow Saracens, and on the way there we beat Blue Bulls, if those of you are familiar with the Super 14, and we also beat the English team Saracens. So the game is up and coming, guys. We're being competitive at the club level. We just need to try and be more competitive at the club level, and hopefully that will translate into the U.S. team. In terms of participation at the academy itself, so you're wondering, how do I get into this great thing? So it's by invitation. There's a large coaching staff. We basically scout. We understand the sort of the top teams, but we do try and look through using things like the NRU series as well as the Nerfu series to try and source talent. I also, in the fall, reached out to several college teams within the area, given that I know it can be a travel burden to try and get into the Boston area. And we had representatives from Northeastern, BC, AIC, Tufts, Brown, and UMass. Okay, so these are kind of your peers, guys. So the goal is to try and develop talent at the college level and have them build then into the men's club. The benefit is if we can develop that talent, then if the talent stays, then the clubs will get to benefit from that as well. So, didn't mean that to sound like a marketing pitch, but there you go. Any questions? Good, thank you.
Sorry for doing the awards down there while you were speaking, John. I did not mean to impose. Next up is Lori Staples, the only person being paid to be here today, our club administrator. And this is Lori. I'm sure everyone's not familiar.
Just so you know, I'm not making millions doing this job. I pay for my own phone. Okay, I'm doing the wide stance because I framed the camera for John, and I'm a little bit taller than John. Sorry, John. So a couple things. Yeah, I work for you guys. Okay, so whatever, if you want to promote your club, get in touch with the union and I will help promote you, okay? If you have events that you have going on, if you've done some sort of charity work, if you have a fundraiser, please let me know and I'll get the word out there. Another thing, contacts. This is the time of year when a lot of clubs change club leadership. If you haven't done so already, go to the website and on the top menu there's a club contacts, and at the bottom, when you click on that, at the bottom you'll see the list of all the different divisions. There's a enter your new contacts, just click on that. It's a quick form. You fill that out, and I get dinged with an email when that happens, and at least once or twice a week I go through and I update any of the contacts that come in that week. If you want to really know what's going on in New England, check the website. The news is updated pretty regularly, and also check the Facebook page. If you don't know what the Facebook page is, go to everything runs through the Nerfu website. There's a link right there on the home page and the landing page. Just click on that and you can like it. When I first started this position, was it 2 years ago? I think so. Anyway, the Facebook page had 20 likes. Now we're up to over 800 likes. So it's a really great avenue to help you guys promote yourselves. So what I really need from you guys is content. I want to update the photos on our landing page on the website and also on Facebook. So anything you guys can do to help me make you guys look better, I'm here for. That's about it. Any questions? Oh, and if anybody, for this, a lot of people had questions about how to report scores via text messages over the fall. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, or this is still a complete mystery to you after the fall season, come find me and I can work out sending you guys some test messages to get it ironed out. Okay, thank you.
I just want to harp on that context thing, guys. It's infuriating. It's impossible to do this job if we don't know who we're talking to. So if you're a new officer, please try to get yourself updated on the page. If you haven't had your club's AGM yet and you don't have new officers, please make that a point of consideration. There's nothing worse than, us sending emails to people about games and tournaments and stuff and getting responses. No response back or getting responses back, that are indignant and like, I'm not even the president anymore. We have no insight into your AGMs. We don't know. So you need to tell us. That's the way it goes. I really want to thank Lori for the work she's doing. Content's a big thing for us, guys. The website is not as content-rich as we want it to be, and you guys can really help us by, sending us stuff that we can put up on the website. That being said, the website is not perfect because, we're dealing with a third-party provider, and we still have issues with them. But, we are working on it, and with Lori's help, we're getting things done. I think it's come a long way from the website that we had just a couple of years ago, so thank you. Next up is the Referee Society and our old friend Mark Colbrook.
Thanks, Neil. Again, I'm Mark Colbrook. I've been here year after year for probably 12, going on 13 years. Where's my soapbox? I get it's the same speech every year. But I'm just curious, how many teams out here played matches this past year without a referee, without a NERS referee? 1, 2, not bad, huh? Pretty good. How many people are certified level 1? Yeah, you guys don't count in the back row back there.
Yeah, out.
You guys all ref? When you can? So there's been a problem, right? We need to backfill referees. About when I first started this position, Fred was president, Betsy Kimball was on the board, and we wrote some legislation or some requirements in the handbook. You all read the handbook? Men's clubs, women's clubs. So there's a section in here, club requirements for Division I men's, Division II men's, Division III men's, Division I women. They're required to provide 2 active referees to NERS. This is an active club referee is expected to meet the NERS requirements for assignment, is available for assignment on 8 games total during the spring and fall season. That's only 4 in the spring, 4 in the fall. You got 2 people. It's not a whole big commitment. Division II women, 1. So I went and counted, that's 38 clubs. It's 66 total referees that we should get. I looked on the website today, in late October, early November, we're covering up to 50 to 55 games on a Saturday. So I'd ask that you kind of honor this in the handbook. Do what you can. I know you guys are all working for your club now, but there may be ex-players. Someone's got hurt, bad shoulder. They can't play anymore. Let's try to get them into the referee society. Maybe we can get Neil to bring some of those dollars towards certifying refs. Although I think the society will reimburse you for the cost of a level 1 clinic and if you start refereeing. Another thing I like to, earlier this year, we try to enforce this a little bit and get some feedback from the clubs. I'm not speaking of colleges, you weren't contacted, but the men's, primarily the men's clubs, and I would hope women's clubs, were contacted by or should have been contacted by the directors here and asked to provide who on your rosters or who in your clubs are the 2 people or 1 person that are meeting this active club commitment. 3 clubs responded: Newport, Charles River, and New Haven. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. I won't say the response was, they might have been retired referees. They're not the people we identified. We'd have to vet that a little more, but we'd like to get that feedback. So hopefully over the course of the next year, we can add some meat to this and try to get some stimulus to get people certified in refereeing. What we find now is a lot of people get certified and then don't continue refereeing. It's not a bad gig. It's hard, right? No one wants to hear some of the feedback, but it's a necessity. If you work at it, you stay fit. It's a great way to stay involved in the game. So I think that's all I have. Is there any questions? Thank you very much. There is another meeting this afternoon at 1:30 over at the courtyard for NERS, if anyone would like to join us.
Just to tack on to Mark, and again, as I said in my opening statements, you guys are here, so I'm not asking you to be refs. How many people out there had to play a game on a Sunday this year or a Friday? It's a lot. How many people had to play a weird game on a Saturday at like 10 in the morning or at like 4:40 in the afternoon? That's a lot. That's refs, guys. Okay? The greatest thing I think you can do is if you got a captain, that captain has to go to the ref course. And that person then has to get certified. You pay him back. We'll pay you back for it. And when that person is injured or when they stop playing, they were a captain once, they love the sport, hopefully they'll stay in love with it and they'll start reffing. It's really quick and easy. You can just add that to your AGM. Captain has to be a ref, have to go to ref course. It's a really simple process, guys. We talk about it every year. I'm tired of it. It's probably why I'm resigning. Anyways, oh, that's not why I'm resigning. All right. Next up is awards. Congratulations. Let's hand out some awards.
All right, folks, so the awards are based on the fall season. So Division I, because it's now a split season, will not have awards at this AGM. So we'll start with Division II. Division II men's, the champion was New Haven, and the runner-up was Mystic River. Next up is Division III men's, the champion was MIT. And the runner-up was Freedom, if anyone's here from Freedom. Men's Division IV is a little different. There was a champion of the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. The Western Conference champion was Mad River Stowe. And the Eastern Conference champion was Framingham Exiles. Next up is Women's Division I. Champion was Beantown. And the runner-up is Boston. Women's Division II. Champion was Burlington. And the runner-up was Charles River. Women's Division III, champion was Amoskeag. The runner-up was Springfield. Next is women's colleges. The champion was University of New England. The runner-up was Franklin Pierce University. Men's college, champion was New England College. And the runner-up was Eastern Connecticut State. Then the final award that we give out each year is a Robert Doc Laurence Award. This goes to an administrator or somebody involved in club sports at the collegiate level that really steps up and helps out the club. So this year's recipient wasn't able to be with us. His name is Ed Winters. He is the assistant director of the Hogan Sports Center and Rec Sports at Colby Sawyer College. So we received a very impressive nomination for him. So just a couple of points I'll cover, and then a member of Colby Sawyer will accept the award on his behalf. So in addition to all the day-to-day operations, the fields, the trainers, transportation budget, he covers all that. He also worked very closely to make sure that club sports, and rugby in particular, had the same access as all the varsity sports at the school, which any of us that have coached or played in college knows that's not always the case. And it can certainly help to have someone involved that works for the school that's really advocating. That included medical treatment, making sure that all rugby players had the same concussion protocol and rehab as any varsity athletes. A lot of field issues, which again are very common. Ed worked to ensure that rugby teams had the same access to the varsity fields, and he's also featured the rugby clubs on the athletic website. So again, there's plenty more. The nomination was, again, very impressive. So if someone from Colby Sawyer could go accept the award on Ed's behalf. So again, before we move on to the old business and new business, just for any of the clubs that came in after roll call, if you can find me before we break out, that way I'll make sure that you get credit for being here today. So next on the agenda is old business. This is if there's any items that are left over from previous year or things that need to be addressed. If anybody has any of those items, please step up to the microphone off to my right. Going once? Good, okay. Any new business, anything pertinent that should be addressed in the general session before we break out? Same thing, you can step up to the mic and be heard. All right, I'll take it. So what we're going to do from now on, we're going to break out into our divisional kind of segments. All clubs, men and women, are going to stay in this room. We'll do some general stuff, and then we'll break out geographically so that you can meet with your division directors. Women's college will go to conference room A. Men's college will go to conference room B, which are right out around the hallway here. Pieces to keep in mind, and this is for the division directors as well, there is another event immediately after this, so we are absolutely held to that 2 o'clock deadline. Without elections and things like that, I think we're looking pretty good for time, but please keep time in mind. We need to have everything sort of broken down and people out by 2 o'clock. So. All right, so clubs stay in here, colleges, you're off to the other rooms.
Hold on, sorry.
Sorry, we need to do a vote, just so we stay on the up and up. I just want to say one last thing. Thank you again, all of you, for coming. I really appreciate the people that put in long drives to be here today. Hopefully you get home before the snow. I really want to thank Worcester and Framingham for coming, because I know you guys had the longest drive to get here. I would really like to just thank you all for doing your jobs, and I want the board to thank everyone for doing it. It's, you guys are on the front line. I know, I've been there. It's hard. One last thing, remember next year is elections, and I do expect a lot of people on this board not to be standing for their positions again. So if you're out there and you're thinking about it, come talk to us. If you know somebody that you think I can recruit, come talk to me. I'm happy to do it. Please consider it. Thank you. I need a motion to close the meeting. Motion from the back, what club? Williams. Williams. We have a second? Second from Worcester. All in discussion? All in favor of closing the meeting, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you all very much.